Hello and welcome to Conquer Crochet. I'm Karen Stangroom, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the spiked granny stitch. Really gorgeous. It's a 2-row repeated pattern, but actually the middle of the pattern is exactly the same. It's just how we start and end the rows that is slightly different. I'm using 3 colours in this piece. You can use 1 colour or 2 colours or 3 colours or as many colours as you would like. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the tutorial where I show you how to do your finishing off row to make sure you have a nice, neat, professional finish. So let's have a look at the tutorial. So for this tutorial I'm using 3 different colours of Aran or worsted weight yarn. I have a 5.5mm crochet hook just because I want it to be a little bit roomier than using a 5. You can use any weight yarn you like in whichever combination of colours or one single colour that you like with the corresponding size crochet hook. I have scissors to cut off my end, a needle to sew in my ends and a stitch marker just in case I need one. So I'm going to start off with colour A and I'm going to make a foundation chain. So to do that I'm going to make a slip knot. You can do this in whichever way you prefer. And our foundation chain needs to be made in multiples of 4. So to do that, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. That's 1, yarn over, pull through the loop 2, yarn over, pull through the loop 3, yarn over, pull through the loop 4. So for this piece I'm going to just do a sample piece that's going to be 20 chains, but you can make your foundation chain as long or as short as you want depending on the width of your project, as long as it's in multiples of 4. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain. So for row 1 then we're going to stick with the same colour to make our first row. And row 1 is going to begin by making 2 trebles in the 4th chain from the hook. So we never count the one on the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going in there with 2 trebles. That's UK terms, in US terms that's 2 doubles. So yarn over, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then yarn over, insert into the same chain, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So the 3 chain that we skipped at the beginning becomes our first treble, and the 3 chain throughout the whole of this work will count as a treble. The 4 chain will count as a treble and a chain 1. Okay, so something just to remember throughout your piece. So we're going to then chain 1 and we're going to skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the next chain we're going to do 3 trebles. So 1 treble, into the same chain 2 trebles, into the same chain 3 trebles. Then going to chain 1 again, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and work our cluster of 3 trebles in the next chain. And we're going to continue that way all the way down to the end. So in your very last chain you're going to end up with 3 trebles. Now I'm going to do 2 trebles and then I'm going to come back and show you how we can change colour. So pause the video now whilst you complete your first row and I shall see you in a moment. So just finishing my second treble in the very last chain. I'm going to do the 3rd one now. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, and if you're changing colour, this is where we're going to bring in colour B. Just pop that around your hook and pull that through the 2 loops on your hook, and then you're ready to start with your new colour. It's a nice easy way to change colours. Now you can either snip off the working yarn or you can carry it up the side, entirely up to you, but at least you don't have so many ends to weave in if you do carry it. But if you are going to carry up the side you will need to put a border on your work. So for row 2 then, and rows 2 and 3 are the repeated rows of the pattern. Now row 2 starts with a 4 chain, row 3 starts with a 3 chain. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and as I said at the beginning, this counts as a treble and a chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and that chain 1 is going to carry us over these 3 trebles from the previous row. So we're going to be working in the spaces between the clusters from the previous row, and we're going to work our 3 trebles into this chain space. We're going to do 1 treble, 1 spiked treble, and then another ordinary treble. So yarn over into the chain space, pull the yarn back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So that's your first treble. Your spike treble is going to work into that middle chain from the foundation chain. So we're not working into the space, we're working into the chain. So we yarn over, go into the chain and through the back, yarn over and pull through. So we're working around the chain 1 at the top. You might want to pull your yarn up a bit so it's all in line because it's a longer stitch. Yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And that's your spiked treble. And then you're going to do 1 more treble into that chain space. We're going to chain 1. That's going to travel us over the next cluster. And in the chain space here, we're going to do exactly the same as we did in the first chain space. So we're going to do 1 treble, 1 spiked treble. So if you look closely, you've got 1, 2, 3 chains in there. We're going into the middle one. So 1 spiked treble. And these do get easier as you've got a more solid foundation when you're working into next rows. And then 1 ordinary treble. And we just carry on all the way down the row in the same way. So chain 1, 1 treble, 1 spiked treble, and 1 ordinary treble. So continue down the row until you get to this last little section here where you've got 2 trebles and your chain 3, and I shall show you what to do at the end of the row. So pause the video now. So I've worked my last chain space. Going to chain 1 to travel me over these stitches, and then I'm going to work a treble into the top of the 3 chain. So that's 1, 2, 3, and just pop a treble. Remember that's US double into the top of that chain. Now if you're changing colour, you'll want to change colour on that last yarn over of the stitch. So that's row 2, and row 2 started with 4 chains, row 3 starts with 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and that's because we're going to work into this space. So at the start of the last row we were skipping over the stitches here, but we're going to be working straight into the space here. So this counts as 1. We're then going to do our spiked treble into that middle stitch, and then 1 treble into the chain space. Chain 1, skip over the next cluster, and we're going to do 1 treble, 1 spike stitch into that. You've got your 3 trebles from 2 rows below, so that's 1 row below, 2 rows below. So we're going into that stitch there with the treble, and then finish off with the treble in the chain space. Chain 1, skip over your cluster here, and you might have to just pull apart slightly just to see where you need to go. 1 treble, oops, 1 double, no sorry, 1 spiked treble, and an ordinary, oops, go on, an ordinary treble into the chain space. So we're going to continue that way all the way down the row. So chain 1, skip a cluster, treble, spike, treble, treble, all the way down till you get to the last space, and I shall show you what to do in the last space. So pause the video now. So in our very last chain space here, we're going to do a treble. We're going to do a spiked treble in the middle of those 3 trebles there, so into that middle stitch, just as we've been doing before. And then we're going to do a treble into the top of the chain here. Now this is where we've changed colour, so we're just going to do a treble into that stitch. Oops, I've taken some yarn with me. So treble into the top of that turning chain. Again, if you're changing colour, you want to change colour at the end, and I'm going back to my colour A, which was the sort of blue colour. I'm taking it up the side, yarn through. Now don't pull it too tight. If you pull it too tight, your work's going to bunch up. So you don't want it too tight, you just want it tight enough. And then we're going back up to row 2, so that's a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn our work. Remember, we're skipping these stitches here, which is why we've got the chain 4, so it counts as a treble and a travelling. And then we're going to the space here to do a cluster of treble, spiked treble, and treble. I've dropped a loop there. There we go. Chain 1, travel over the cluster, and then work into the next chain space with our cluster of treble, spike treble, and treble. So I'm going to work up a few more rows now for you to see how it looks, and I shall see you in a moment. So I've worked up a few more rows for you to see how it looks, and obviously you're going to end up with a row that has gaps and clusters in, and we want to fill those in. So I want to finish on the same colour that I started with, so when I get to a row where I'm back to my original colour, I'm going to do my normal changing of colour. So to do this ending row then, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn my work. That chain 2 is not going to count. I'm going to work into the first 3 trebles in that first cluster. We're going to do half trebles, that's half doubles in US. So yarn over, insert into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then going to do my normal cluster, so into the space, spike stitch into 2 rows below and into the space, and you'll see how that's giving you just enough height. If you do this with double crochets or single crochets, you'll end up with a wavy line, so you need a little bit of height at the beginning here. So we do 3 half trebles. That's 1, 2 and 3. Then we do our spike cluster. So that's 1 treble, spike treble, and a normal treble, 3 half trebles. Oops, I did a treble there. Do that again. 1, 2 and 3, and do my cluster again. Three half trebles. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Coming out to my last cluster. That's 1 treble, spike treble, and treble, and then finishing off the row with 1, 2 half trebles, and then a half treble into the 3rd chain, to that turning chain. And there you get a nice neat edge for the end of your piece of work. So I think you'll agree this is a really lovely looking stitch. Obviously the same pretty much on the reverse as it is on the right side, although technically that's the wrong side I'm looking at now. So as you can see, it's all the same. The only difference is the beginnings of the row, whether or not you have to chain 4 or chain 3, and the rest of it is pretty much the same. Works really well with multiple colours, and now I've only got sort of 6 ends to sew in because I carried up the side, but I will need to put a border on just to cover up these loops at the side here. Maybe a double crochet border, or you could put something a little bit more interesting on there if you wanted to. So that is how to do the spiked granny stitch. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help YouTube to show it to other crocheters and helps their algorithm do all the things that it needs to do. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I do most social media on Instagram, so if you'd like to come over to @ConquerCrochet on Instagram, it would be lovely to have you there. I show you all my personal projects I'm working on and any exciting new things that come into the shop. And talking of the shop, this is my new kawaii bear stitch marker. He's got such a gorgeous face. And that's available in my website shop and also on my Etsy shop. I'll put the link to both in the description, and I'll also put a link somewhere on the screen that goes straight to my website, so you can go and have a look at this gorgeous little teddy bear over there. I shall pop 2 more videos on the side of the screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I shall see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!